Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Sword Art Online episode review. This one's going to be for Season 1, Episode 4, The Black Swordsman. And yeah, we are still on Volume 1 of the DVD sets here with Episode 4. In terms of the light novels, original source material, we continue from the last episode with Volume 2 of the Einkrad series. And in this case, it's the first of the four stories instead of the last of the four stories. But it does actually take place after Kirito beating the boss. That's why the anime basically does the episodes in the way it does. Because obviously at the end of this episode, he mentions he's level 78, whereas he fought like Nicholas the Renegade on like when he was level 70 or something like that, 76. So yeah, that's the kind of continuity stuff. For the most part, the novel and anime adaptation of this episode are identical. Nothing really notable to kind of point out about the novel compared to the anime for the most part. So there's that, but I really like this episode. It's definitely not the most focused on the plot in the sense of Kirito, Asuna clearing the game, fighting bosses, but it is just this really nice little kind of personal, emotional side story where Kirito teams up with Silica to help her revive Pina, her kind of dragon familiar. And as well as that, you have the kind of Kirito side of the plot. The reason he's there is to basically do this mission for this guy that hired him to basically take revenge, put away this guild, the Titan's Hand, a player killer, red player, orange cursor group, who killed this guy's guildmates. So it manages to kind of blend those two things in very nicely together. But definitely the highlight of this episode is the interactions between Kirito and Silica. And, she's not really in the rest of the series all that much. Because of this episode, she becomes, Kirito's friend. And, afterwards, outside of the game, in school, she's friends. And she's part of that kind of Team Kirito group that is basically a kind of raid party in Alfheim Online. So, she appears, obviously, at other points. Obviously, she is a character after this, but she's not a main character. But so that makes this her episode to shine. And a lot of people criticize this episode, the one with Lisbeth, the previous episode with Sachi and stuff like that, for having it be just that every female character he meets falls in love with Kirito. But in this episode, that's really not the case. Even at the end, Silica makes it very clear that throughout her, I think it was 5 days or so with Kirito, or a couple of days with him, she was happy because she felt like this was her time, these 5 days of basically having a brother, having a big brother, when she's an only child in the real world. And that is the emotional kind of core of this episode. Through Kirito interacting with Silica, he talks about his sister for the first time in the series, really, Suguha, which links in a little bit to, obviously, the second arc is kind of focused on Suguha. So there's some very nice stuff there that when he meets her, part of the reason he really kind of wanted to help her is that he thinks she reminds him of Suguha a lot. But even though when we actually properly get to meet Suguha, they don't really look that similar, but it's just this idea, younger girl, slightly naive and stuff like that he links onto that. And in addition to that, you have the fact that he, for the most part, seems to have gotten past the death of the Moonlit Black Cats. But you can see when the big confrontation happens at the end of the episode, he's very clear to Silica, here's a teleport crystal. If I say go, go. And it's the one time when he's quite serious in the whole episode. And you'll see this again in the episode with Lisbeth, that's the only kind of real reminder of that still remains from the Moonlit Black Cats episode, that he's not constantly over leveling and stuff like that, thinking he's going to die every single time. It's just he's very careful that with the people around him to protect them, and kind of has all these plans in place because of that. So there's that, and then their interactions are just very nice. You have a few little bits where they're on this really beautiful floor 47, where the flower revival flower is, and she sees the kind of all the couples and she gets a little bit embarrassed, and you can see that she is a younger player, and that kind of plays into her kind of character arc in the episode, and that a lot of the other players see her just as this kind of gimmick almost, that she's one of the younger players in the game who happens to be pretty good at the game. She's not just kind of hanging out in the early towns, not really knowing what to do because she is so young. She's just this really solid mid-level player, but the people want her on their team because she's one of the rare dragon tamers in the game, beast tamers. She's tamed an enemy of the game to fight with her, and that combined with her kind of youth, cuteness and stuff like that, means that she's just a player people want on their team as a mascot to get more attention and get more success in the game. And you can sort of see people like Rosalia beginning to use her in that sense, that that's all that people want from her. Yet Kirito is just like, oh, you happen to be a beast tamer, I'm going to help you out with this. He doesn't really care about the celebrity aspect of her. And she even mentions that it went to her head a little bit. She got a little bit overconfident in that when she left the group, instead of kind of staying with the group and then breaking away from them, doing the safe thing, she left first and had to fight by herself, which led to the death of Pina. And so you can see that those things where she's not one of the higher level players. She is a mid level player, and Kirito is down like 30 floors from where the game is actually properly being played right now. And that's the exact point of this episode, that it's Kirito going down a couple of floors to obviously do his mission, which is to capture Rosalia and her Titan's Hand guild because of what she did. And you get revealed at the end of the episode that Rosalia was basically planning to do the same to Silica. That's why she was with that group at the start. But throughout the episode you see Kirito help Silica train. He gives her high level gear that she wears here. He helps her level up a few times so that the floor is more around the same level that she's at. And you just really get this idea that he is protecting her like a big brother. And it plays very differently to, say, the Lisbeth episode or the Sachi episode. They are all very different kind of interactions with these kind of girls. So it all kind of leads up to definitely like the highlight scene of the episode. The reason it's called the Black Swordsman is because she gets the flower, Rosalia reveals herself, she has all these other people with her, and basically Silica's just like, Kirito, there's too many of them, and then all of the other players are just like, Kirito, wearing all black, one-handed sword, no shield, assault team, play solo on the front lines. This is the Black Swordsman, and it's just this really cool moment where his whole reputation just comes out, and he's just super confident strolling towards like 7 players just on his own. And then it's just a really strong moment. It's not like he just owns them all in battle. He doesn't lift a finger, he doesn't attack once in the entire fight. He stands there, lets them attack him, and then just is just like, hey, I auto heal more in 10 seconds than the damage you can actually inflict in 10 seconds. I could stand here all day and you wouldn't take down my health. And it's just it's a scene that really shows how good he is at video games, how good he is at this game. He knows that if you're so many more levels above someone else, you are invincible basically to their attacks. And it's just a really kind of cool moment where the whole how much more how higher a level he's on than everyone else, most people in the game, really comes out. That he's level 78 and he's down on like floor 47, playing with players who are like in or around level 50. it's obviously going to end with Kirito's victory, and then you get that moment where basically he he reveals that his client gave him this teleport crystal, which he spent all his money on, which is going to transport them directly to the prison back in the I think it's floor one, I think, the kind of Black Iron Castle prison, where the players imprison players, and this code is just a really strong moment. It's the one super intense moment of the episode when he basically how he captures Rosalia is that, you know, she says, "No, you're not going to hurt me because then you'll be an orange player," and he's just like, "I don't care if I have to play as an orange for a couple of days, if it means putting you away." And it's just a really cool scene that really gets across the idea that he doesn't care massively about what the other players think of him. That his kind of moral code in the game is going to come across in his actions more so than just what he looks like or anything like that. And just that really intense look where he doesn't actually attack her. He just holds the sword up to her and she sees the intensity in his kind of eyes and she just quits. The whole guild just quits and they're transported to prison. That she knows that there's no way that they can beat him. And he succeeds in his mission and Silica gets Pina back, and it's just a successful mission for this kind of, at least for this episode, big brother, little sister. So that's really cool for me to see in this episode. It's, you don't get like a massive amount of time to get to know Silica, but it's enough to where it comes across in the episode that she feels comfortable, safe around Kirito. And I suppose that's one of the main things that you get with him is that, you know, he has this reputation as just this amazing player who just goes around defeating everyone, when in fact he is actually at a base level this really nice guy who's willing to help people he comes across. And you see that over the course of the next few episodes, that he honestly does care for the other people in this game. And this episode doesn't make it massively clear that this is a really important line, but there is a moment where he just says to Silica that, you know, he basically explains to her the dynamic of like some players, why there are basically orange red players in the game, in that there are some people here who don't think that the game is real, that if you kill someone in the game that you don't actually kill them in real life, despite all of the evidence that was given to them and stuff like that. They just feel like there's no way this game could actually be that real, and they still play the game as if it was a game and playing the villain. And it's a really interesting dynamic because you later find out that Kirito's kind of mentality when it comes to playing these sort of games is just that the game is real, it's just a kind of alternate kind of reality, like it actually is. That he doesn't act when he plays the game. He treats it seriously, that there is this same sort of laws and stuff like that as in the real world, that you don't do all of this stuff, that the level of seriousness that he takes this game, that the virtual world is a world that's just as valuable, just as important as the real world to him, comes across very nicely here. And I think there's a couple more episodes where that comes across too. But for the most part, maybe not everyone's favorite episode, but one I definitely really appreciate. You get some really cool moments from Kirito, just his reputation coming through. The interactions between Kirito and Silica are just very kind of cute, and it's just this nice, as I said, nice brother-sister relationship that we get here. We get Kirito talking about his own sister, and it's just this, you know, it is very much what it is. It's a little story that was impactful during Kirito's time playing the game. It doesn't link massively into the other episodes. It's not a boss battle or anything like that. But to me, I'd rather have this story than have, say, the floor 28 boss, which was just a standard boss that they beat fairly easily or something like that. Because not every boss is going to be massively interesting, massively unique. because they basically say, like, in one of the episodes that, like, this is the first player we've lost in the boss since, like, floor X. So I definitely like these character interactions are something I appreciate a lot more than, say, what a lot of people would like the series to be. It's just go floor by floor, show every boss battle and stuff like that. So I really appreciate these type of episodes, and maybe it goes to show what I like in shows in general, but what I very much like about this show, it shows something that's unique and interesting in every episode. But yeah, that has been the episode review. If you have any comments on what I've said or thoughts on the episode yourself, definitely leave a comment in the comment section below. Other than that, that has been the review. Thanks for watching, and bye.